Personal story segment tonight. Ann Coulter has a new column out today about the nuke situation in Japan, and here she is. The column is entitled "A Glowing Report on Radiation." Glowing radiation, very, very good. But you are not down on radiation poisoning.
Well, it's not me. I'm citing a stunning number of physicists, and from the New York Times and the Times of London, there's a growing body of evidence that radiation in excess of what the government says are the minimum amounts you should be exposed to are actually good for you and reduce cases of cancer. The New York Times science section, for example, a few years ago reported on a study from Canada where all these women who had had tuberculosis got an inordinate number of chest x-rays. Well, their breast cancer rate was lower than the general population. There were apartments put up in Taiwan in 1993 that accidentally contained an inordinate amount of cobalt-60, a radioactive substance. After 16 years, 10,000 occupants of these buildings being hit with 5 times what the government says is the minimum amount you should be hit with. The number of cancer cases they had, there were about 10,000 occupants, was only 5 cases. Now, for the general population in that same age group, a group of 10,000 Taiwanese should have gotten about 170 cases of cancer.
So why, if those things have happened, why isn't the established medical organizations or establishment saying that, you know, some kind of radiation can ward off infections? Why aren't they saying?
Well, they are. They're not getting a lot of media attention for it. This guy, the coolest cat in my column, is this Bernard Cohen at the University of Pittsburgh. He did a study of 90% of the counties in the U.S., and he looked at levels of radon, radioactive substance from the earth, and lung cancer rates. And they were inversely related so dramatically that it couldn't be explained by cigarette
some radiation
smoking
in the body acts as an agent to ward off cancer.
That's many scientists believe. As the New York Times science section has reported, it doesn't get press because...
So by your account, we should all be heading for the nuclear reactor leaking and kind of sunbathing out there in front of... come on.
Well, interestingly... it's called hormesis, that's how it appears to be pronounced, I've only read about it, the beneficial effects of radiation. At a conference on hormesis at the University of Massachusetts a few years ago, the scientists come and talk about the beneficial effects of radiation. Then they went to a spa in Boulder, Montana, where people pay to go 85 feet into the ground, into a mine, in order to be exposed to excessive levels of radiation, because they think it's good for you.
But I want the audience to be very cautious about all this. It's all theoretical at this point.
But the point is that the media will not report this.
Of course not.
Because A, it's not sensationalistic to say, oh, humans are going to have 2 heads, and B, it's an anti-nuclear power
But I don't know if it would be responsible at this point to make that a hard news thing. It's okay to kick it around like we are.
No, I think you should have some of these physicists on.
Well,
look, the one you had on last night was pretty copacetic about what's happening in Japan.
Listen to my point. You have to be responsible in a sense that the prevailing wisdom is there is a level of radiation that's going to hurt you and perhaps kill you. All you have to do is look at what happened here in New York City on 9/11. The people exposed just to the debris coming from the collapsed towers are having a myriad of health problems, all right? Health problems all day long. And there's a variety of them. So you have to err on the side of caution. What you say may be true. There may be some doses of radiation that in a human body can ward off infection. But in something like this, you have to get the folks out of there.
Okay, but
and you have to report you have to report worst case scenario.
But what you just described is not true. You say that what the scientific community says is that at some level radiation is bad for you. No, that is not what at least the news is reporting.
Well, all you have
they
to look
say
is
the tiniest drop of radiation is dangerous, and the point is that is absolutely not
Some
true.
radiation will kill you, as we saw in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, when people were incinerated.
The counter-argument among the scientists, not among the journalists, among the scientists is there could be other complicating factors. Perhaps we're not counting correlations and not causations. It is not, this effect does not exist.
Provocative as usual, Anthony.